Almost a month had passed since we were last in Goshen. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff was done during the time procuring and ordering supplies as well as getting tools together. But we were happy to be back and looking forward to continue working on the build site. The first thing we wanted to do was to remove some small trees growing in the build site, especially a couple that would eventually get in the way. Once Anita cut out the branches, I took the small trees down with the chainsaw. With 2 chainsaws, we were quickly able to bring the trees down, limb them, and cut them into rounds. As there was a considerable amount of limbs and branches, we hauled them over with the lawn tractor to a designated area. In the near future, we will be looking to get a chipper where we can clean up the piles of brush everywhere. We hadn't finished clearing all the trees, but got to the most pressing ones that morning. The rest would have to wait for now, as we wanted to get moving on the shelter.
Nonetheless, I mean, we know that's east, we know that's west.
Before building the shelter, we first wanted to mark out the exact location of the bunkie. From this, we could reference where to place the shelter that would house the supplies and equipment for the build.
Facing the sun, which means I would only get the morning sun and not the afternoon. Or do I want to utilize the sun as much as possible and face my house on the side and then pick it up in the evening?
But it was also very important to consider all the factors that would impact the location of the bunkie, such as the view, proximity to trees, and where the sun would be.
I would rather have more sun than not. I don't want to have dark.
We just used some long nails and ribbon to mark the outline of the bunkie. This way, we could easily make adjustments and changes as needed.
And then I need 10 feet.
10 feet from there?
From there.
Yeah.
Right. There?
Right about there, yeah. At least we know in general.
Okay. That's going to be quite the leveling that's going to have to be done.
We checked for squareness after tying the ribbon to the nails, and voila, we now knew exactly where our bunkie was going to be built. So here's where we're at. Today, we basically did a mark out of generally where we want to build the bunkie. We still got to refine that, but we know generally where we're going to place it. We had a long discussion about light placement, just aesthetics and things like that. And it all kind of came into play, but in some ways, because of where we are at and because we're surrounded by trees, there's things that we can't really change. So we just chose a spot that's probably will be best suited for us. The other thing we have to do today is we just spent a few minutes clearing some of the brush here. This is the area where we're going to build our temporary it's that garage shelter, and this is where we're going to eventually bring all our building supplies and store it in here as we use it throughout the build. We just don't want it to be exposed to the elements, and we don't know how long this build is going to take, just because of course this is not our full-time job, as we're going to be working on this on weekends and when we have some time off. I'll take it away. You chop it away. It was important to know the general location of the bunkie, as it would provide a reference to everything else. This meant we had to clear some small trees, but at least the shelter could now be built beside it. Okay, so I'm gonna go back. Nita's already headed back already. I'm gonna go join her. We're gonna go get all the building supplies for this shelter, and we're gonna bring it here, and then we're gonna start building it this afternoon. So hopefully it'll go well and we can get it done in one day. On the way back, I stopped along the way and trimmed a lot of the overhanging branches with a pole saw. This is a great tool for reaching low-hanging branches that are located high up. Just another invaluable piece of equipment to help maintain the property. These types of fabric shelters are often used as an economical garage, but at a length of 20 feet and width of 12 feet, it is perfect to house all our building supplies, especially lumber up to 16 feet long.
Huh? Just probably- Did you leave the barbecue out?
Yeah. This is different length. To ensure nothing was missing, I laid all of the parts out so I could count them, and it would also make it easier to pick them out when we started building. Once all the parts were accounted for, I needed to head back to take the dogs out and get lunch ready. So in the meantime, I continued clearing the limbs and branches of the trees we had taken down earlier. Man, it is blistering hot. It's probably around 12:30, quarter to 1. I gotta head back for lunch. But look at the brush pile that's building up. And these are already a few, relatively medium-sized trees. They're not huge. And there's still another tamarack down here that's got to be chopped up and brought over. But there's another tamarack that's got to come down, and possibly these two big trees. The thing is, we were humming and hawing about keeping some up, and then just the line of sight and how the bunkie is going to look. And so it's trying to try to find a fine line between cutting down too much and then having it look natural. But I mean, if you think about it, the reality is we are just covered by tons of trees and forests and new growth. Taking a few trees here is really not going to make any difference. I mean, considering when we had that storm that came through, how many trees got knocked down, and we're talking about big trees, this is significantly a fraction of what happened. So there is a natural cycle of trees falling, dying, being competed out from other trees that will eventually kill it because of the shade. But we don't normally like to cut down too many trees, but at the same time, to preserve our open space, we'll definitely have to maintain a certain amount of cutting, because if you leave it alone, it will just naturally grow in, and this clearing will soon eventually become forested over, just like all the space around it. So it's time to get back to the home, refill with food, and then when we come back, we're going to try to tackle the shelter in this heat. I think next time we're going to think a little more strategically. I think what we already kind of decided to do is that we'll probably do most of the build in the spring when it's cooler, and also in the fall when it's cooler, and leave the summer for tripping because it is just scorching out there under the sun. All right, enough chatting, time to get moving. After lunch, instead of taking time to film the shelter build, I decided to do a time lapse with my GoPro. Unfortunately, I didn't realize the battery died so soon, so you'll see next a very brief clip of what we accomplished before it died. But we've come to the end of the day, and the timing is good because if you look behind me, there are clouds all over and it's actually getting dark. But I wanted to show you before I leave, this is what we built so far. So we've got the frame all built up, and tomorrow we just got to work on, I don't know if it's, you might be able to see, it's not very level. Which ground is level out in the bush? Not much, right? So tomorrow we've got to go get some sand, some gravel, maybe some bricks, and we've got to level it out first, and then we'll secure it down and then put the fabric on top of it. Tomorrow is also going to be an exciting day because we also are going to get our shipment of wood, which is for the bunkie. So that's going to be dropped off tomorrow, but that's going to be kept in the garage by the house until we can find a way to transport it and put it into this temporary garage. Anyhow, I'm just going to make my way back. It's been a long day. I'm all hot and sweaty, but I'm looking forward to getting a nice refreshing shower and getting some cold beverages into me because I'm pretty thirsty. Okay, so we'll see you tomorrow. Unfortunately, we didn't end up coming back to finish the shelter. The huge load of wood that was dropped off occupied our time for the next 2 days, as we had to sort through, move, and bind all the lumber in the garage. This meant the shelter would have to wait until the next time we were up. Good morning. It's another weekend and we're back at our build site. As you can see over there, that is the frame for the, I guess you can call it a temporary garage shelter. That's our goal for today, or at least this weekend, is to get that built up, leveled, and covered. And so that eventually we can bring in the wood that we've got delivered and then bring it over here so that when we're doing the build, we can have easy access to the wood and it will also be protected. So it's already a pretty hot day. It's sweltering in the sun, and the black, no, it's not the black flies, it's the deer flies. They are horrendous. Although when you stop moving, most of them tend to go away, but you probably can already see there's still some flying. But when I came through here with the ATV, they were swarming me like crazy. It's been a crazy season so far. Lots of back and forth, lots of unexpected problems and things that we've been dealing with. But little by little, we're moving forward and finally getting some progress done on this build site. So here's Anita coming in the lawn tractor.
I think this one is not too bad. That's level. Well, I think this one's a tiny bit off, but I think that's because that one is off.
The first thing we had to do was level the frame. Some spots we raised with old bricks, and other areas we lowered by digging out some of the soil.
Should have done was move this out of the way and dig it up a bit when we knew we were going to pot it.
But despite the uneven ground, we eventually got it all leveled up. Next up was the cover. Before proceeding, we checked the instructions again to make sure we installed it correctly. The cover came in 3 pieces. 2 cuts were for the door, and 1 big one that would cover the entire frame.
Right there.
Ooh. your head.
So this has to be undone. Oh Lord, I hope I don't lose the screw. I don't know whether you're going to need a hammer to do it.
Tension, that's why.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of tension.
Attaching the door wasn't as simple, as it involved removing the many bolts and nuts that secured the frame together. It was a bit of a pain because this caused the frame to shift and come loose, but we eventually got it on.
There. You have to pull this bar back.
Which way?
I guess it's...
Out?
Nope. In like that. Right there.
Okay. Once the door was on, we ratcheted the strap that ran along the perimeter, which then secured it to the frame. Then came the main cover, which was very large and unwieldy, but with some muscle and the help of the ladder, we managed to get it on. You might have to go with a ladder to pull it up. You hold that and I'll move over. Can you pull that side? Hold on. Yay, we got it. With the cover now over the shelter, we needed to secure it to the frame. This involved more ratchets and straps like the door to hold the ends in place. Okay, I'm going to pull yours. I'm going to pull mine. Okay, that's good for me. go.
Yeah, I think that works for now.
Yep.
So now we have to start taking the poles apart on the inside.
Next, we had to secure the length of the cover along the bottom of either side. This involves sliding a pole into the sleeve and securing either ends with a bracket to the vertical poles.
Okay, this one's cockeyed and you're gonna have to probably help.
The hardest part was trying to line both horizontal poles so that the brackets could be attached with a bolt. Then all it needed was a couple washers and nuts to secure it in place. This, of course, took some time as we had a lot of poles to connect, but soon enough, we were done. Hey guys, so we have basically finished building the shelter. The only thing that remains is putting some anchors in to make sure that it stays in place if it gets windy. But there you go, there's the shelter. It is an oven in there because it is dark, so it's essential to keep the door open. But otherwise, once you're inside and the door's open, it's not too bad. It's now provided a nice shady spot and a good place to put all of our gear and keep it protected from the elements as we work on the bunkie. But yeah, so that's it. It's done. We thought it was going to take a little longer, but we're happy it's done. Anita's already gone back. She's making lunch, and I just got to put in one more nut and then look into anchoring a few spots, and then I'll head back and have lunch with her. After lunch, we finished putting in the remaining anchors to secure the shelter in place. It simply involved twisting in a long self-tapping spike and then using wire cables to attach it to the frame. And with that, our last anchor, we were finally done. We were happy with the results, and it looked great. It had a zippered roll-up door on the one side, and with ample space inside, we knew it would fill up fast. With the shelter now complete, we left the build site and turned our attention to some other things. One thing that is for certain on a large property is that there is always work to be done. Hey guys, it's late in the day. It's probably around 6 o'clock, and I've been working for about an hour. We're on the other side of the property where we have a trail that goes to a sand pit, and We could use some of the sand and the gravel later on in the build, but we can't access it now because all the trees that came down during the storm during the long weekend. So I came here to continue working on this trail. So here is the trail. You can see a bunch of logs that I cut further past that as well. And there was a mass of trees that was just literally a green wall that I've been working on, and I just got through. So I just came back to get some water because I'm just dripping sweat. Anyhow, it's this part is fun. I actually enjoy this a little bit more than the build, and it's actually not as sweltering because out there in the build it's open and the sun was hitting us directly, whereas here we got the shade. Unfortunately, we also got the mosquitoes. Nonetheless, it's still fun, and I'm just going to take a few minutes to get some more water, and then I'm going to head back and cut away. A lot of time was spent clearing small trees and branches out of the way, as one big tree would bring down many more small ones along with it. So the Ryobi chainsaw and lopper was utilized a lot for limbing and clearing the debris out of the way. There's nothing particularly fun or exciting about this work. It just takes time and effort, a lot of sweat, and even more mosquito bites. But the end result is an open trail. Simple things I take pleasure in. What's that?
It's 10 to 7.
Oh,
So load down my tractor. Because poor Max is extremely depressed.
recording. I was just gonna clear this, and that's I was gonna end for today.
Okay.
I wanted to get through this whole section.
Oh, don't worry. It's like nasty down there.
I love the saw.
Yes? Good little saw.
I made it. That was my goal, to get through this mess.
I hate to break it to you, but there's a lot more trees down there.
What's that?
There's a lot more trees that are down.
Yeah, I know. But one step at a
I
time.
think this is actually worse than the other section.
Huh?
This I think was worse than the other section.
Well, it's not as big a tree, but it's a lot of small trees,
Yeah.
and it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Trio before the win. All right. That was it for the day, but not wanting to head back empty-handed, I loaded up the trailer with some firewood before I left. All right, so it's been a fruitful day. It's just past 7 now, so I think I got bit by a bunch of mosquitoes. Anyhow, so if you look over here, I cleared through that area. There is still that tree above, but I can't reach it, so that's the only one I got to take down later on, but it's not a problem. I also cleared further past. I'll show you over here. There was a bunch of trees right here. You can see they're all cut. If you look behind me, there's all the logs. It doesn't look like much. They're not big trees, but there was thick brush, and you can see that right behind me. And that makes it so difficult to cut through. If it was like one big tree with very little foliage, it's easy to cut through, but not here. There's a lot of softwood. And if you look behind me, I still have got some more trees to deal with, but these are pretty easy. And just right about there, there's another massive pile of trees down there. It's another green wall that I have to get through. But I made quite the distance. I am taking a whole pile of wood with me. You see that piled on the ATV. But yeah, I feel pretty accomplished. Got the shelter up. That was the goal for this weekend, and we finished that early, so that's why I was able to come back here and work on the trail. Okay, time to head home. The next morning, we decided to move our first load of supplies over to the shelter. This entailed strapping 2 large bundles of foam insulation to the trailers and driving them over with a lawn tractor and ATV.
My glass is actually steamed up. Oh, look at this. It's actually wet.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You know, maybe we'll leave it open while we're... Oh, it's like a sauna.
Look at my glasses.
Yeah. Oh my, look at it.
That was quite the surprise to find the inside of the shelter steaming like a hot sauna. Something we would have to be mindful of when we keep the supplies inside of there that could be affected by moisture. With that done, there was nothing more to do at the build site, as we didn't anticipate finishing the shelter so quick. However, the next time we were up, we would actually get to work on the bunkie for the first time, so that was something to be excited about. But for now, I headed back to the trail to continue clearing the downed trees.
Okay, so we're back at it again, or I'm back at it again. Anita's back at the house. She's getting the place cleaned up and ready for the family members to be there. I've already cleaned her some brush on the ground, some light stuff, and now I'm going to take down this tree. The one above eventually will have to come down. I don't know if I will force it down at this point because I just want to make forward progress. So I think I'll leave it for now.
Okay, that went pretty well. Didn't take too much effort. However, looks like, I mean, it doesn't look like too bad. There's more small brush over here, so you just need to cut through, but it wouldn't take too long. The thing is, there is a huge poplar that's come down right there, and like I said, thankfully the crown is right there, so it should be fairly easy to cut through. But man, that is a big poplar. That'd be some good firewood to get later in the season. But nonetheless, right now I've just got some small stuff to cut through. We'll get over there and then continue cutting some of the small stuff. But Anita says beyond here there's more and more trees down, so even though it looks like I'm making some good distance, I'm sure I'm going to be running to more trees. But so I've got my Husqvarna. It's a powerful little chainsaw. I wouldn't say it's little. It's an older 257, but it's a 57cc and it's got a lot of power and it's good for handling big stuff. But this stuff, I really only need a Ryobi, this 10-inch Ryobi chainsaw with a 18-volt battery. And man, this chainsaw has proven to be quite useful. It's really light, and there's no smell of gas, and it can get quite a bit done. I've been quite happy with it, and as you'll see, I've cut through a lot of stuff already, and this is what it's perfect for, small stuff like this. This part isn't posing much of a problem. They're all small limbs, it's just all very bushy or leafy. As long as I cut away all the small branches, I should be able to get through fairly quickly. And that's why this Ryobi is so handy. One of the challenges on this trail is that there are a lot of small trees and it's dense that line along the side of this trail. It's a little open here, so that's great. That's why I took that small tree over there and dumped it. Normally I have struggled to get the brush through the tree, and hopefully we're looking forward to getting a chipper so that we can mulch all this stuff, lay it on the trail, and clear all this brush, but we haven't gotten that yet. So for now we're going to cut and chuck it on the side where we can. There's so much small limbs here.
even the chainsaw is probably not even worth it.
After I got through that section, I had a few small logs on the ground to deal with. This is where the cant hook with a T-stand comes in handy, so I don't have to worry about the chainsaw coming in contact with the ground.
Okay, so there's more trees down there. Not too bad, but all of these trees are filling in the trail, and it'll make it difficult for the ATVs to get through. So right now I'm just going to focus on trimming these trees back, the branches back, and opening up the trail, and then we can tackle the tree. Now, I might not have time because I've only got a little more time before I got to head back because we're driving home today, but I'll do a little bit, and then that'll be it for today. The one thing that's not fun about cutting brush is that there's mosquitoes on them. So as you're cutting away, the mosquitoes just nail your face. The irony is you cut all these branches, open up the trail, but you open up the trail to sun, and guess what? The branches crab back in again the following year. So it's perpetual cutting. Okay, I'm done for the day. It's 5 o'clock. It's way past when I should have stopped. I should have stopped at 4:30, but Anita came and got me. I got so focused on my work and forgot the time, but I was able to cut through with a Ryobi chainsaw. Imagine that. Cut 3 nice pieces of wood or trunks that stem from one main one. You can see them all there. You can see now it opens up. I need to cut some more trees. We have to cut the grass, and the trail keeps going on over there and eventually turns to the right. Now, made quite the progress in the distance. Like I said, over here I did cut a lot of the limbs, but I stopped doing it just because it was ridiculous to do it with a lopper. I need a pruner. It'll be a lot more effective, and then we'll need to just trim that right down. And otherwise, it's pretty good. I'm quite happy with what I accomplished today. Now I'm getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, so my sweat just took off all the bug spray that I had earlier on. Anyhow, time to get back and shower and then head home. It was another great weekend, a lot accomplished, and even though it's a lot of work, a lot of fun.
Stay tuned for the next episode, where we will finally break ground and begin the bunkie build. Hold on. Ow! My head. Ugh. I need a hard hat.
Are we splashing? I don't like them. Look at this. Oh. Ow! Look at that. Ouch!
What's that?
You just missed the trailer. I can even do that. Well, maybe not. Maybe I can do that.
Jump.
I don't know if I'm coordinated enough. Look at my glasses.
Yeah. Hold on.